Welcome back to Where Canaries Walk, and welcome Philippe Clement, the new manager of Norwich City. And of course, we'll get into that Birmingham City game. Did we learn anything from it? Lots to talk about. Following that international break, we've got Tom, Killian, and Matty back with us, and grateful for your company as well. We're also talking about what did we learn from that Knapper interview, and of course, big fixtures ahead. Plus, our A to Z continues. Right, Tom, Clement's the man. Were you surprised, shocked, disappointed, excited? Where are you at with this appointment?
He came out of nowhere. I think of all the names that were being bandied about, I think it took us all by surprise. I think me personally, I don't think it's any surprise who I wanted in charge. So when Gary O'Neill fell away from the running, I was a little bit. Is John Dale Thomason the guy? And to be fair, it looked like it was going to be him all the way through. And Clement's come out of absolute nowhere. And I think, given his experience and pedigree and where he's been in his career, I think it's a hell of an appointment for us. I mean, how we've managed to get him, given where we're at currently, they've either waved a lot of money in front of him or told him a lot of lies. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think there's going to be a bit of a power shift between who runs the football side of the club. I think Knapper's going to be taking a bit of a backseat and learning a lesson or three. But yeah, I mean, he seems to be, of all of the options available, a hell of an appointment.
Yeah. Gillian, do you agree?
Yeah, I think it was obviously a big surprise to everybody. I don't know how they managed to throw out names and then the bookies included, are talking about everybody and talking everybody up. And Thomason's team seemed to be even suggesting through the media and through social that he was dead cert for it, and then out of nowhere he came. And from what I've seen and heard of him so far, he says the right things, but we've heard a lot of the right things being said for the last 2 years probably. And as Knapper, in fairness to him, said during his interviews, there's no time for talking, it's got to be action. And unfortunately, we didn't see the fruits of that yet. After a very poor show on Saturday, but obviously it's only his first game, a few days in charge. So,
Cheers for both of you. Matty, his records before Rangers was pretty decent, which is what got him the Rangers job. People have commented that he was unfairly dealt with or treated at Rangers. When you've looked, obviously you've done a lot of background on him since he's been appointed. What have you made of his footballing heritage so far? And what excites you the most, given his style of play and what you've researched?
Yeah, I think the Rangers point's an interesting one, Mark, because the club posted like an interview with him on his first day or two on their official YouTube channel, and all of the comments were flooded with Rangers fans saying, "Great guy, great manager, didn't work out at Rangers, but he was unfairly treated. Their club's in a bit of a mess." Which obviously, if you see what's happened with Russell Martin north of the border, that only goes to show that either managerial appointments haven't been brilliant, or there's a deeper problem at the club as well. So everything that I've read and seen certainly from the Rangers fans has been really, really positive and encouraging. And yeah, a bit of a coup really. Like, when, to Tom's point, like, everyone kind of thought it was either going to be Gary O'Neill or John Dale Thomason. And Killian, as you mentioned about the bookies, this is why I don't pay a great deal of attention to the bookies, because Daniel Farker came out of nowhere when we appointed him, and I think similar with Hoff Torp, there was kind of no mention of him, and then all of a sudden within a week there was a lot of chirp, and it was the same with this, like, out of nowhere. And you kind of like that, because it means that maybe Tom is right, we've maybe told him a lot of lies, I've thrown a lot of money at him, but I hope it's someone that they've kind of had lined up and gone, right, yeah, let's make this happen. So yeah, I'm quite encouraged, to be honest, Mark. I think it's a good appointment, and yeah, it's going to take a while to turn it around, isn't it? But as far as kind of saving our season, which I can't believe I'm saying, but as far as saving our season goes, I think he's a hell of an appointment to try and do so.
Yeah. Oxford on Wednesday night, Tom. Probably you couldn't have picked a better fixture for him to probably kick off his home campaign, or is there a double jeopardy there with that?
I think so. I think yesterday was probably too soon to make a meaningful impact. I think, given also the stuff that the club released in the week of having the players doing bleep tests and basically just running doggies all week, probably. I'm not surprised we conceded after 3 minutes yesterday, and we could have conceded before that with the chance they had before the goal. So I think the problem is we need impact now. We've obviously got 2 home games coming up this week, and we need 6 points. There's no two ways about it. And they're against 2 teams in Oxford and QPR that no disrespect, are winnable games. They're teams that, again, no disrespect, we should be beating. But Oxford will be buoyed from their result yesterday, although they didn't win, but they'll be buoyed from their performance yesterday. And I don't know. I mean, the problem is of course, does he get a case of the Mannings if he doesn't pull a win out? For that first home game, then obviously everyone's going to be going, oh, here we go again. But I think, he's going to have everybody behind him. I think, I don't care if the players are knackered afterwards. I mean, he said yesterday in his post match that he's not really got an awful lot to choose from, and there's going to be the same group of players. So we need to find something from them somewhere that we hoped we were going to see yesterday, but not to be just yet.
He's already commented, Killian, hasn't he, about the physical fitness of the side in terms of how they look. Is that something that you can now look back on and go, yeah, we saw that ourselves in terms of how fit the squad were?
Well, I mean, he pointed out that 82% of our goals have been conceded in the second half, and we seem to have fallen apart in the second half week after week after week. Availability seems to have been a big issue, and not just this season, I think last season as well. And I think he's pointed out we've 10 injuries at the moment, so he's down 10 players. So it's a combination of fitness, but also, and I think that's one of the things that he seems to have a reputation for, is having good availability statistics with other clubs he's managed. So I'm sure he bet them into the ground with his bleep tests, as Tom mentioned or alluded to there, but he definitely will. I think will get them fitter, but you're not going to flick a light switch and have a team that's maybe unfit, super fit within 4 days. So it'll take him a bit of time.
Yeah, as Knapper alluded to it, didn't he, Matt, in his interviews about the number of soft tissue injuries, and I think he alluded to it's not normal for a club to have had so many soft tissue injuries. Is that Manning's fault, or is that the physio department's fault, do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know, without knowing the specifics of it and how those injuries were picked up, it's probably unfair to comment. But I think in terms of Knapper actually announcing that, he's probably done himself no favours, because either it's on Manning, who's his appointment, or it's the coach and physio team and the sports science team, who are either probably Knapper's appointment or Manning's appointment. So, sometimes less said, especially when there's pelters being thrown at you. I don't know if he wasn't to have come out and done his interviews, then he would have been accused of hiding and not being present enough. But some of his answers seemed either a little bit naive or seemed a little bit frustrating, really. He still defended the Núñez sale. I know I've gone on a tangent here, but some people are saying, "Oh, fair play to him, he's sticking by his guns." But when Atanasio's come out and said we got that wrong, for Knapper to then say the contrary and defend his decision, the whole thing seems he seems well out of his depth, as did Liam Manning. And if this appointment doesn't go right for him and for us, 2 things: one, will be relegated, and 2, Ben Knapper will never get a sporting director job again.
I think the thing is that if we look at the last 6 months, I don't think you can count on one hand, if at all, anything that's gone right. The whole thing over the last 6 months has just been one thing after another, whether it's a player's appointment, the manager appointment, moving the fans, selling Núñez, the start to the season, the injuries, the whole thing has just gone to pot. So I think Knapper, I mean, in his interviews, he looks out of his depth. He looks not and sounds naive in some of the things that he's saying, but I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere this side of January. One thing he did say was that that they're going to be perhaps looking at more experienced options in January, and from those that are available, and it's not ideal to go shopping in that market, etc. But that's the rod he's made for his own back. So I guess we just have to believe that they'll get the next 6 months right. It's hard to put trust in someone who's got it so wrong for the whole 2 years he's been with the club.
Also,
that he's going to get the next big contract.
You're right there, Tom. It has been 2 years as well, because you think about the injuries we had under Hoftorp. How many? And we said this on the pod last year. Like, how many times could Hoftorp pick his preferred 11 last season? Probably you can count it on one hand. So, is there a bigger problem at the club in terms of the sports science, in terms of the physios, in terms of the people that are doing that day-to-day coaching and recovery and what? Like, how we have such bad luck of injuries, I have no idea. It's
not bad luck though, is it? I think that's what they've said. It's not luck. It can't be luck. There's either a lack of professionalism from the players in terms of what they're doing in terms of their sort of recovery. And I'm not a sports science analyst. I don't know, but to have as many injuries as we have had, and for them to be as severe as they have been as well, in terms of some of the players being out for months on end from what looks like a fairly innocuous soft tissue injury or whatever that might be, then again, how many times could Manning pick his? I'm not going to defend Liam Manning for God's sake, but how many times could Manning pick his best 11? And it'd be interesting to see over the next 6 months how many times Clement can pick his best 11. But
it's more than Manning and Hoftorp were able to, at least.
Yeah. We'll get into that Knapper interview a bit more in a second. Killian, the Opta supercomputer over the international break has predicted where each team's going to finish. It doesn't predict Norwich to go down. It puts Portsmouth, Oxford and Sheffield Wednesday down there, but it does say there's a 52% chance you might, which I didn't quite kind of work out in terms of my head. The Birmingham City fans we spoke to said that you're the worst side that they've played, and they've just beaten Pompey and Millwall 4-0 in subsequent games. Are you looking at like the Sheffield derby today and hoping Wednesday win? Are we there yet? Where you're looking at other teams' results and hoping for draws and things? Where are you at in terms of your belief in this side?
I think, I'm still an optimist and think it will come good. But to be honest with you, I'm not very optimistic for the next 5 or 6 games. I really think we've got so bad and into such a habit of losing that I don't think it's going to improve anytime soon. But I do think, if you don't believe in Clement and what he says and believes he can do, then there's not a lot of point in, getting behind the team. So I do think we will stay up. But I don't think we're going to have this miraculous turnaround in the next couple of games and suddenly those players who haven't been able to... we've conceded 27 goals in 16 matches. We've only scored 15. It's a horrendous problem to try and address.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Where did you just... Matt, I know we've asked you this before, but do you see yourself surviving based on anything you've heard coming out of the club this week of January signings and the owner's going to put money in and the state of the league as well? Look at the other teams, because there seems to be a bit of a breakaway league going on now between 6 teams at the bottom and essentially the rest of the division.
Yeah, that's about to say, isn't it? It is those 2 mini leagues almost, and I feel a lot more confident. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I feel a lot more confident about staying up with the appointment that we've made in Philippe Clement, and I reckon that someone like him who clearly doesn't take no for an answer and doesn't take any sort of shit from the players. I think he's probably the right sort of appointment. Do I feel confident? I tell you what, Mark, I put 10 quid on the other day on us finishing in the top half at 10-1, and I put 5 quid on us finishing in the top 6 at 80-1. So yes, Mark, I'm very confident. Yeah.
Gamble responsibly. When the fun stops.
Stop. Yeah.
The problem is the fun hasn't started yet.
No, the fun went 4 years ago, but we're not going there. On Clement, I wouldn't want to cheese him off. I watched a lot of his press conference and the sort of day ones of training, and you can kind of go. You look at a manager and you go, right, long coat and copper mundials. He's like, and he's got him doing bleep tests. It's like, okay, we're either going so far back in the old school that the players are just going to have to run through walls, or he's a genius. But I think I wouldn't want to cheese him off. He looks like he knows what he's talking about. He looks like he's either going to get players on the bus or they're going to be left behind.
That's what we need.
Yeah, but I just hope that he's going to have enough players to be on the bus with him. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the thing, is that, he's alluded to the fact that we're not going to have many personnel changes for the games coming up this week. So, if those players aren't behind him, but they're the only ones that can play, then we are really in, a
I'm surprised, that we haven't played people like McConville and Wright.
Yes.
Who seem fit. They haven't been given a chance by Manningham so far. Obviously, he's only here a week, by Clement, but we've seen some terrible performances from some of our players. Yeah. I don't think it's true to say that we've no other players that we can try. So
no. I think, Jacob Wright, I mean, in the training videos, he looked pretty happy to be walking out and looked like he was going to, I think everyone's willing. The best bit about it is that his stock increases with every game that he doesn't play. He becomes a better player with every game that he doesn't play, because everyone knows that he can be the tempo, the ticker, he can get the ball moving. And I just hope for his sake that when he does get a chance, he does take it, because if he comes back in and has a honker, then, we've all got egg on our face.
Matt, you want to get your opinion on just some very strong tweets that came in after the Birmingham game about one player in particular. I'll just read you this one from It's All About Opinions. It says, I do not want to see this drunken waste of space in a Norwich shirt again. Shane Duffy got back in the team after abusing a fan on social media. He can now sod off. He doesn't give a damn about this football club. When this club identify poor performers, they reward them. It now has to stop. Is it too strong?
When you said drunken waste of space, I thought someone had clocked me leaving St Andrews. That language is a bit harsh, but I agree. I wouldn't lose any sleep if he never played for us again. I think he should have been sacked after the drink driving incident. I think in terms of setting an example for younger players and for kids, it's bang out of order. I think his conduct on social media is how many strikes has he got? How many lives has he got? It's one of them where, yes, Medic hasn't been brilliant, but we've seen him play already a couple of times this season, and he's been honking in both of them. So yeah, he's on 30 grand a week. So yeah, he shouldn't have been brought back. He should have been binned out and binned off when those instances happened. But here we are, where Shane Duffy, or whatever he is, 33, 34, is still starting games for the championship team. So good riddance if we can get rid of him in January, as far as I'm concerned.
Is it because he won't drop Darling? Because he's not immune. Do you know what I mean?
No,
he started the season very well. He is a constant at the moment.
No one's been good ever, to be fair.
No, but then to Killian's point, McConville on an international stage is performing.
Yeah.
And getting plaudits and man of the match, etc. And he's being recognised for his performances on an international stage. So, second bottom club in the championship. Surely we can't be sniffing at that. But yeah, again, your point around Shane Duffy. I mean, I think he's absolute poison. Maybe he watches this and sends us a load of abuse afterwards. So evening, Shane.
Right, let's get a little bit more into that Knapper interview then, Killian, shall we? First of all, do we praise him for? We're not going to praise him, but do we give him some credit for coming out? I mean, you think he did 3 or 4? I mean, great that he did. Talk Norwich City. I mean, fantastic podcast, very similar to ours. Maybe you'll come on here, Rob, at the end of the season if you're still in post. You can have a chat with these three, but. Does he deserve a little bit of credit there? And what did we learn from those 4 interviews he did?
Yeah, to me, he was wheeled out by the club, and he was almost like a bold schoolboy being sent out by Atanasio to take the blame for everything. And there was, I don't know if you've seen them, Mark, but there was memes and videos of songs. It's on me, it's on me, it's on me, which is what he was repeatedly saying. And if he'd said it once or twice, it might have had a bit of credibility. Saying it 100 times just lost a bit of that credibility. I disagree slightly with Matty. I was impressed that he wouldn't back down on the Nunes thing, because honestly, I think if you take the emotion out of it being a Norwich fan, I think his explanation was pretty solid. We got 10 million for a player who wasn't performing particularly well for Norwich.
It's more the fact, Killian, that contradicted each other. The
Yeah,
Atanasios,
I get that, but you know, it's easy for Atanasio to come on to Radio Norfolk and say the popular thing with the Norwich fans. You know, yeah, sort of is a mistake, and we didn't need the money. But to be honest with you, if you look at the prices in Carrow Road, we've talked about this before. Season ticket prices, the price of food and drink, we're paying for this club. And I guarantee if we didn't take that 10 million, it wouldn't be Atanasio paying for it. It would be the fans. They'd up the prices somewhere else. So I did admire Knapper for that piece alone. I think a lot of the other stuff was just coached by the club to say this, give an impression. He looks like a man under pressure, no question, and understandably so. But
yeah. Okay.
Because I think he's sorry, Mike. I was going to say, he sits there and he goes, "Oh, no one feels the disappointment and the pain of this season so far more than me." And I think you'd be hard pressed to make 2,000 fans that went to St Andrews yesterday in the whistling rain to believe that, to believe that no one else is feeling the pain more than him. And at the end of the day, right, the guy's got a contract. If he gets relieved of his contract, he gets a payoff, and he goes and does something else. And we're left to pick up the pieces. I think he's been an experiment, and it'd be interesting to say we could trace it right back. What the hell did Stuart Webber see to give this guy the job in the first place? But there was a lot of sound bites from Knapper's interview that are similar to that of Webber's when it started to go wrong under Farker around, no one's more disappointed than me and all the rest of it. It's almost like he phoned Stuart and went, "Can I have the script from your last crisis talk?" Honestly, be interesting to see, if you can find the Stuart Webber interview from a couple of years ago, there's a lot of similarity between, how they try to take responsibility.
The whole thing is very naive.
Yeah, 100%.
Good to get your thoughts on this in the comments below. And if you're watching, Rob, we want you on here when we finish 18th and we're all breathing a sigh of relief in May.
Ben, Rob Butler and Ben Knapper. We'll get Rob Butler on as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ben. Right. A to Z of Norwich continues this week. Then we're up to the letter G, please. So let's have some light relief from all this, doom and gloom. Anyone got anything good for G?
I'd go for Gunny, Brian Gunn.
Yeah,
club legend. Apart from his stint as a manager, but he's done so much for the club. I think he's a real true ambassador for the club, and still is, even though his son no longer plays for us. He still puts a shout in for Norwich. So
that family connection as well. The name Gunn, Brian Gunn, Angus Gunn. It's a lovely thing, yeah.
Yeah, good. Any other shouts?
Jeremy Goss being another one. I would say Goss because yeah.
Good shouts. Right, Gunn has.
That one, Tom, definitely.
Yeah. We'll put Gunn in then into the A to Z run to H next week. So join us for that, and fingers crossed we can celebrate 3 points come 10 p.m. on Wednesday night when we send Oxford back. With a tail between their legs. Fingers crossed. I'd hate to see what happens if you go 1-0 down. Please.
I'll turn the telly off.
Right. Enjoy your 2 games this week. We'll see you in 7 days' time. Thank you, though, of course, for watching. We appreciate all the love and comments so far. Drop us a sub if you haven't done so already. Have a great week, everyone. Fingers crossed. See you then.